Nostalgia is a big business. Old movies are being remade, old bands are coming back for reunion tours, and car makers are reviving hollowed out names, like the Supra, the Z, the GTR, and the NSX. But what's missing from that group? The Mitsubishi 3000 GT VR4. Maybe it's not worth it to Mitsubishi, who doesn't really seem to be very interested in making cars that leave an impression anymore, but I'd like to change your mind. I should also point out for the ones in back that this car is also technically a Dodge Stealth, but for today, we're only going to be looking at the North American version of the GT 3000. So the car existed in 3 generations over the course of 9 years here, and although going through some pretty radical changes, still maintained the same basic premise of being a road-rippin' 2+2 GT car throughout. Early vanilla versions carried the least exotic part of the car, which was the 6G72 V6 engine, and was in everything from the Chrysler New Yorker down to the Diamante, yipping out 222 horsepower, but the VR4 as we know and love came with a twin turbocharged glow-up shouting out 300 horsepower. And what really made this car stand out was turbocharged models also further added all-wheel drive, 4-wheel steering, active aerodynamics, and tunable exhaust. The second generation got the German-designed 6-speed GetRag manual transmission with revised gear ratios to replace the 5-speed, as well as a strange facelift that, I'll be honest, personally I'm not too crazy about, but is still plenty 90s GT car. It's a lot like what I imagine a Japanese computer programmer's interpretation of a Ferrari should be. And for what it's worth, the engine's also got a small bump in power in this generation to 320 horsepower and 315 pound-feet of torque for a trade-off of active aero being discontinued in '96. And finally, the third generation went out with a bang with another exterior makeover featuring a new aggressive "it's not a phase mom" look and a true inverted airfoil spoiler coined the Combat Wing. But I think that everyone that enjoys cars knows that it's always more about the experiences with and around the car that really truly matters. And don't just take it from me, but instead a good friend of mine and a multi-talented colleague.
Hey y'all, my name is Anastasios Karamoglu Jr., better known as Tasso, and I'm the proud owner of a 1991 Mitsubishi 3000 GT VR4. You know, I came from American Muscle, so this is my first introduction into the JDM car world, and I absolutely love it. I really fell in love with this car for its story. The car started out in Connecticut, where the owner modded it pretty extensively. The owner gave it to his son, who then went to the University of Northwestern Ohio, but when he was ready to graduate, he ended up selling the car. So the car was sold to UNOH to be used as a training aid to teach students how to dyno tune for about 2.5 years, 3 years, until one of the students ended up breaking the motor on a dyno pull. And then the instructors took it upon themselves to rebuild it. It was rebuilt, and then it was never used again. It was parked, and it sat, not to be moved, not to be started. Freshly built engine. So after the car was parked, a young and dumb Long Island kid, fresh to the university, was on his way to a drag club meeting where I first met Aaron, and I saw the car. Of course, I asked a billion questions. What was it used for? What was its condition? I got the whole rundown that the car was sitting there. It was twin turbo, it was all-wheel drive, it had all these mods on it. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna save this car. I'm gonna ask to buy it. But as many before me have tried to do, I was told no. One thing I was different from the rest, I was very persistent. Can I buy this car? Can I buy this car? One day, I got a maybe. A maybe led to, all right, this is the price. And I said, deal. I didn't even argue with it. I says, I will take it. It was too good to pass up. But when I received the car, it was pretty hacked up. I ended up pulling the transmission out at my roommate's house in his garage, got all the electronics working, and then got the motor running pretty smooth. Around the same time, I got the car up and running, test drove it around. I was pretty happy with it. I kind of got into the whole time attack scene. Saw a video on YouTube of Gridlight, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. I thought I want to be a part of that, and I got the perfect car for it. So I decided, let's build a car up, quick call the dad in New York. Hey, I need a trailer. We're gonna bring this car back with us. And I'm gonna work on my house where I built this nice little nifty tank garage where I can work on it. I got a job at working at a local machine shop. I come to find out They specialize in building the engines for these cars. It's almost like it was meant to be. And the steering wheel in that car is actually pretty special to me. It's steering wheel that my dad bought in 1987, for his race car, and he never used it. He comes, he says, I got something for you. Goes in his garage, and on top of a shelf, stacked underneath books, he pulls out this beautiful, brand new red wheel in its original box. Absolutely perfectly preserved. And I says, that's perfect for the car. It matches the color of the car. I mean, it's everything I would have wanted. It's really special to me to have that in my car. So the motor now is a fully built motor. The last time I had a dyno tuned, it made 450 horsepower. I'm looking to make around 520, 530 horsepower. Turn up the boost a little bit because I got a little bit better boost controller. And I'm hoping I can really take it to them at Grid Life, and other time attack like Global Time Attack, hill climb events. I really do plan to go out with the car, track it, really enjoy it, have a nice hot rod, you know. When I got this car too, it's pretty funny. There was a YouTube video that just came out from Donut Media, I believe it was, and they were talking about the 3000 GT. And it's funny, I just bought this car. It had to be at least a month of owning this car. And I'm looking through the prices of 3000 GTs, and they skyrocketed. And I was like, I almost thought about like, I'm gonna, you know, maybe I should sell it. And I was like, nah, I'm not. I'm gonna keep the car. I absolutely love it.
If you haven't made it out by now, this is really what you can imagine when you think of a true driver's car. And what's missing? A touchscreen center console with Apple Play? Not really anything of consequence in my opinion. It may not have been the least expensive vehicle, or the simplest in its construction, but it absolutely would not be mistaken for a simple mode of transportation. Maybe another take on a GT car is what Mitsubishi needs to remember why exactly people would fly their flag. Something to help them stand out from the crowd of conservative styling, compromises, and committees. See, when you hear a story like Tasso's, you have to remember that none of that would have been possible if not for a humble Japanese manufacturer to produce something that people could really connect to. And that's really why we're fighting for these old dinosaurs to stay alive. There's so much more than just another appliance. They're a connection to a way of life that supports creativity and diversity and a community in a way that not many other cultures can compare. So to the first manufacturer that sings the song of the driver and lets the enthusiast dream up the car, you would be the brand for me. But I want to know what you think. Leave a comment below to let me know, and be sure to click that like button to support the algorithm. But most importantly, thank you so much for watching. Now drive safe, stay curious, and have a wonderful day. Wait, what are you still doing here? Go on and click on this video. I promise, it's a good video. Go before he does it again. Ah!